Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Sir David Attenborough has travelled to every corner of the globe, but if you ask him to name the most magical place on Earth, he responds the Great Barrier Reef, an extraordinary ecosystem that contains the world's largest collection of coral reefs, 400 types of coral and 1,500 species of fish exist in the reef. There is no other World Heritage property which contains this level of biodiversity. So the environmental significance of the reef simply cannot be overstated. But the reef is also an economic asset for the nation. Deloitte has placed the value of the reef at some $56 billion. It measured its contribution to the Australian economy at $6.4 billion in 2015-16, supporting some 64,000 jobs as a direct result of the Great Barrier Reef, particularly in the tourism sector. The reef is a cornerstone of our tourism economy, not just in far north Queensland, but also plays an important role in our national economy because people who visit Australia visit it in part because of the Great Barrier Reef, but also, of course, spend money in Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane and other parts of the nation. This motion is almost ironic, given the government's record on the Great Barrier Reef, because it is this government that wants to lock in the largest removal of conservation area anywhere in the world in history. The Labor government instituted Australia's Marine Park Network, comprising the largest network of marine protected areas in the world. This government has plans to strip away swathes of protected area from these marine parks, making Australia the only country anywhere on the globe that's actually reducing its protection of our oceans. While the government awarded a $444 million donation to the Great Barrier Reef Foundation, it must be said that no application was received and no competitive tender process was undertaken. Now, the Great Barrier Reef Foundation is a reputable organisation, but its previous revenues, going back to 2015 of $9.6 million and 2016 $8 million, indicate that it is far from clear if the organisation simply has the capacity to cope with an investment of this size. And it's symbolic of the government's chaotic management of this World Heritage listed ecosystem. The fact is that this mismanagement hasn't just been bad for the environment, it is also letting down the communities that rely on the Great Barrier Reef for their income. We need a real plan to protect the reef and to protect our oceans. And of course, part of that has to be taking action on climate change, because that is the biggest threat to the ecosystem of the Great Barrier Reef. And that's why Labor's committed to taking real action on climate change, with a commitment, for example, to 50% renewable energy by 2030, with a commitment to actually reduce our emissions, which was happening up to 2013. But now, of course, under this government's farcical version of energy policy, where they can't even agree with themselves after more than 5 years, we don't have an energy policy in this country, and emissions are rising again on this government's watch. The fact is that the budget in May didn't deliver a single dollar on new climate change policy. So I want to conclude with echoing again the words of Sir Attenborough. Do we really care so little about the earth upon which we live that we don't wish to protect one of its greatest wonders from the consequences of our behaviours? Now, this much is clear. Our reef does need protection, and this government simply isn't up to the job of providing it. That requires a comprehensive plan on climate change. It requires a comprehensive plan to reduce runoff into the reef. It requires a comprehensive plan to support the tourism sector in far north and North Queensland.